Okay, here is the demo and how the steps of how to do image stacking. So how you take several different shots that you photograph different focusing points, as you saw how to shoot it watching the full learn video. Hopefully you've downloaded the notes so that you can follow along and fill out the blanks as we go along. But the reason why, or why would a photographer do this, is so that we could have, whoops, gotta click on the right program, sharpness from front to back. So to make sure it's sharp from front to back, which in macro photography, you can't do that even by just closing down your aperture because of the very shallow depth of field. So here is a sequence of pictures I took of a marigold where it's 4 shots in which you notice the focus falls from the front to the back. When I shot this, I used a program called Magic Lantern on my Canon 5D Mark II. It kind of automatically sets focus. You set the beginning focusing point and the end focusing point, and then the camera will kind of calculate the points in between. You can also shoot it manually, but I found this to be a little bit easier. I don't have to do as much guessing. So anyway, so the first thing you do is once you've downloaded the files, you're going to go ahead and open up your Lightroom, and we're going to go ahead and add these files. And there's uncheck that one. There's 5 files that you're going to add. Make sure that your metadata is selected, and we're going to go ahead and add them to the library. I have included, because of this picture is no neutral tone, I have included a picture I took with the color checker so that I can at least do my white balance based off of some neutral tone. So I'm going to go ahead and select the color temperature, or the white balance. I'm going to select the middle gray. I'm going to select these pictures. I'm going to go ahead and sync the white balance to the rest of them, and you can see how drastically the yellow improves. And then I'm going to pick one picture now to work off my other global adjustments. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my shadows a little bit. I'm going to bring in down some of my highlights. I'm going to add some clarity. I'm going to go ahead and add sharpening and masking. Bring that up a little bit. And also the lens correction. And any other adjustment you want to add, that's a creative choice as long as the picture looks good. I'm going to go ahead and sync it again so it syncs all those choices. Now, I want to make sure I just select these 4. I don't want the color checker anymore when I transition it into Photoshop. So I'm going to select them, Command or Control click, and I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to actually, instead of opening it as smart objects, I'm going to open as layers in Photoshop. And what that does is I'm letting Lightroom and Photoshop do a step for me. It's going to basically have one file with all the pictures in it, and I don't have to worry about copying all the pictures over into one file. So while it's doing its magic, you just have to sit back and wait. By doing this, however, I can't see how you corrected your global adjustments. So I'm going to go back into Lightroom, and this is just for my grading's sake. I am going to select one of the pictures. I'm going to edit this one, open this as a smart object in Photoshop. And then I will use the Move tool, which is the V tool, grab this layer, drag it over into my new file with all the layers. And this is just, again, like I said, this is just, put it all the way to the bottom and turn it off. This is just specifically for me grading to see what kind of global adjustments you applied in Lightroom. Alright, so if you noticed when I was showing this sample, if you notice, not only does my focus change, but the size of my subject changes. And that had to do with the type of lens I was using. I was using a Tamron 90mm macro lens. So there's one extra step I'm adding than what Learn does in his video, because I don't think he had this issue that I had. So I'm going to go ahead and select my number 5 shot because it's the smallest flower, and I'm going to turn off all the other layers but the layer above it. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the visibility. This upper layer, I'm going to go ahead and turn the opacity down to 50%. And it's going to feel daunting to you. So your step for number 12, your first thing that you're going to do is Command T, where I'm going to do a free transform and resize all those layers to match my smallest flower. So Command T, and I found the best thing to do here is just to kind of pull on each corner. So I lined up like I looked at the dirt, and then I also like to look at the leaves. So you can kind of tell when everything lines up, you can see everything come in color. Or, it doesn't look like you're looking in a tunnel. So once I've got that layer selected and fixed, I'm going to increase its opacity, go to the next layer, lower the opacity again, do a free transform, and then just kind of match up the major points. So take your time with this. I'm going a little bit quick for the sake of the demo, and I've also done this a couple times. So that looks pretty good. But if this takes you a little bit of time, don't worry. I'd rather, if you don't take the time to make this look good, you will not be happy with the end results. So you can see how much bigger that first shot was. So this one will probably take a little bit more finessing than the last two. But that actually, oh, we're still a little bit off here. There we go. That looks pretty good. But yeah, you can see how much smaller I had to make this picture in order for this to work. So now once I have resized them all, I'm going to go ahead and increase that layer opacity again. Now my next step is I'm going to go ahead and select all the layers. So let me give you the next two blanks. So I'm going to select all the layers. So your blank for number step 14 is Shift, and then for step 15 it's going to be Command G. So I'm going to go ahead and select all these layers. I'm going to do a Command G just to put them into a group, and I'm just going to call this Merge. I'm going to go back and open these layers. I'm going to select them again. Whoops. Go ahead and select my layers again. I'm going to go up to the Edit menu. So your next blank is Edit. Whoops. And then the blank underneath that, the next step underneath that will be Command Option I. I'm just going to type out a couple of your steps. Alright, so I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to go up to Edit. I'm going to go down to Auto Blend Layers. And the nice thing about this is I want to select Stack. I'm going to uncheck Content Fill Where Transparent Areas, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Now I'm letting Photoshop, the smart parts and the algorithms that they've created in Photoshop, and I'm letting it's basically what it's going to do is it's going to mask the layers, blend them, and then it's going to, so now I have it all masked, right? So you can kind of see what each layer used to mask it. Now, there's definitely some interesting things happening in the corners, but don't worry because we are going to crop those out. So first thing I'm going to do is, in fact, that blank I gave you about Command Option I, just go ignore that because I'm actually, that is not a step that I'm going to do in this assignment, but we're going to go ahead and select the crop tool, which is C. I'm going to change my resolution. I want to make sure I select width, height, and resolution. I want it to be 7 inches long. I'm going to change my DPI to be 180, and that just gives me a big enough file so that I can grade it and see what you guys did. And I'm just going to come in and kind of crop it so that I don't have any of those weird corners that were happening when it did that auto blending thing. So, but yeah, so then I can zoom in and I can see, and this will be a big enough file for you to turn in. So what you're going to do is, last step is you're just going to do a file save as. We're not going to do a sharpening layer just for the sake that I want to make sure that you guys, your file is not going to be too big for you to include into Moodle. So once you finish this up, you're going to go back, and once you've saved it, you're going to go back ahead and upload it back into Moodle, and then I'll be able to grade it. So, but if you have any problems for some odd reason, you can't get the file the right size to upload, just let me know and we'll work out a solution. So have a great day.